Story 1. Modern media is highly fragmented and temporary. I don't believe we will see cultural phenomena of the type you are describing again. Story 2. LeVar Burton could be, but I'm not sure he really fits the bill for the this generation part. Maybe he'll be that for the next generation. Story 3. Adam Savage, known for his work on Mythbusters, continues to inspire and motivate creators and young minds. He encourages learning and skill building across various fields. He is also a genuinely kind person with no controversies, which is a wonderful quality. Story 4. Bob Irwin resembles his father, Steve, and is firmly following in his footsteps. Steve would be proud of him. Story 5. For someone in Generation Z, Matt Nelson of We Rate Dogs fame is just an all-around kind person. Many comments mention individuals who are baby boomers or older. Story 6. Comedian Josh Johnson. YouTube commenters on his stand-up shows make frequent comparisons to Mr. Rogers. He is every bit as sharp and observant as George Carlin and Dave Chappelle, with less profanity and tremendous empathy. Story 7. I am currently watching Daniel Tiger, which is based on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and produced by his estate. He even sings some of the same songs, and it airs on PBS. Story 8. There is no other Mr. Rogers. Anyone who thinks it is even possible has no knowledge of the man. Story 9. I am not sure how popular he is, but there is a person on YouTube and TikTok known as Old School Kevmo, and I heard someone refer to him as the Bob Ross of cooking. I have to agree. Highly recommended. Story 10. Ms. Rachel is loved by children, provides free content on YouTube, and even completed a cameo for the first time, donating all the money to feed children in war-torn areas. I am happy for her and her success with her new Target toys and her appearance on Netflix. She seems like a genuinely kind person. Story 11. Not to add random names, but we also had LeVar Burton, known for his role as Kunta Kinte, who we all watched in school. He was the man who constantly read to us on Reading Rainbow and served as the chief engineer on the USS Enterprise. I agree with many others, such as Mr. Rogers, but due to social media, I doubt there will be another like them. Story 12. A little different from the question, as I don't think anyone has emerged in that style, but Hank and John Green are a delightful pair in their own right. They are educational, empathetic, and produce a mix of learning and entertainment that is approachable, likable, and easily digestible. Story 13. I am surprised I haven't seen Mark Rober here yet. He is perhaps a bit more like Bill Nye than Mr. Rogers, but he excels in engineering and does a great job involving children in the process. Story 14. I feel like Nick Offerman embodies a unique vibe. He is rebranding masculinity in a way similar to others you mentioned. Story 15. Sam Reich, CEO of Dropout, seems like a nice guy. His staff and talent love him, and I believe he will be highly regarded among great individuals. Story 16. I am not sure about Mr. Rogers or Bob Ross, but my Steve Irwin has to be the guy on TikTok who goes around the Everglades picking up pythons and saying yoink. Story 17. Banksy for the art. Irwin's children took his place. There is no replacement for Mr. Rogers, and it is evident in the world around us. Story 18. I love Alexis Nicole, also known as Black Forager, and Mercury Stardust, also known as Trans Handy Ma'am, not for direct comparison to anyone but for the tone they use. They may not be gentle with the world at large, but they are compassionate if you want to learn. I hope that makes sense. Story 19. Guy Fieri, despite his distinctive hair, has a remarkably positive attitude. He is a champion for every restaurant he visits and raised millions for out-of-work restaurant staff during the pandemic. He has been married to the same woman since 1995 and has officiated over 101 same-sex weddings to celebrate Florida lifting its ban on gay marriage. He may come across as laid-back, but he genuinely does a lot of good while exuding excitement and love. Story 20. I really like Marie Kondo. She has a gentle approach to decluttering and is very appreciative of inanimate objects. She mentioned in an online discussion that someone uses their hairdryer every day, but it doesn't spark joy. She explained how the hairdryer is still useful and helpful, even if it doesn't bring joy. She has helped me declutter my life and find value and meaning in appliances and items that are useful, even if they don't spark joy. I find that I appreciate things like hairdryers and frying pans much more than I used to. Story 21. For a Bob Ross replacement, I nominate Kevin Ashton, the chef on TikTok. His narration of what he is doing is calm, soothing, and wholesome, much like Ross. Story 22. Binging with Babish is a good analogy for Bob Ross in my opinion, though in the context of cooking. He is very relaxing and calm. Story 23. Steve from Blue's Clues sometimes posts stories on Instagram asking, "How are you really doing?" It feels like he's giving me a moment of free therapy. Story 24. Personally, I think Adam Savage could connect with those individuals. If you started with Bob Ross and then switched to Adam's one-day builds, there is a subtle connection between them, but a connection nonetheless. Story 25. I'm not sure if there is one, but Robert Irwin, Steve's son, has embraced and continued Steve's legacy completely. Their entire family remains actively involved in conservation. Story 26. Ms. Rachel seems to be following that path. She was even criticized for expressing her sympathy for the children in Gaza. Story 27. The man who was born before all of those men and is still alive today, doing lots of commendable work, is this generation's moral and information hero, Sir David Attenborough. Story 28. Elmo is Mr. Rogers' replacement. I know he is not a human, but Elmo is amazing. People are mentioning Ms. Rachel, but I don't feel she has the same nurturing level with children that Mr. Rogers had. Elmo possesses that quality. Story 29. There is a gentleman on YouTube named David Bull. He is a Japanese printmaker and this generation's Bob Ross. Story 30. Ms. Rachel provided a wealth of public broadcasting service content for children during COVID-19. She designed her material to be age-appropriate, ensuring that there are suitable options for various age ranges. Although some of her older content features her in front of a poor green screen, children still enjoy it. Daniel Target is a cartoon set in the world of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Emma Memo was recognized as the Yellow Wiggle. She offers enjoyable content for children, with a focus on Australian Sign Language, which may be a consideration for some. YouTube has enabled users to discover their own versions of public broadcasting content that they prefer, but unfortunately, much of it is not suited for children. Marling Bates crafts fishing lures by hand, gaining skills in carving, priming, and painting. The process is very calm and relaxing. Garrick's apprentice creates Harry Potter wands. Ribbinator produces resin dice. Clay Attraction makes movie models out of clay. YBS Youngbloods offers hours of content about Australian ocean life, showing an enthusiasm reminiscent of Steve Irwin. However, he does catch and cook legal species, which can be off-putting to some viewers. It is challenging for creators to compete with streaming television. Even if their content is featured on a platform, it can easily be overshadowed by algorithms or overwhelmed by excessive and random commercials, making it less worthwhile. Story 31. Ms. Rachel is the modern version of Mr. Rogers, and I don't know what magic she works, but she captivates all the children. I have yet to meet a child who doesn't adore her, including my own. Deservedly so. She is wonderful. Story 32. I believe someone already mentioned Rick Steves, and I give him a big thumbs up. He hosts travel shows on PBS and is a genuinely nice person. Story 33. Forrest Valkai had a great educational demeanor before he started participating in numerous call-in debate shows, which affected his patience. I would say Mark Rober is also in the running. Story 34. Brady from Numberphile said, "I got brown paper, markers, and a camera, and by God, I'm going to make math entertainment if it's the last thing I do." Story 35. A few years ago, I would have said Blippi, but creator and original Blippi, Stevine John, sold his rights for $120 million. Now, a couple of other actors are taking on the role. I understand his decision, but Mr. Rogers, Friendly Giant, and Mr. Dressup would have never sold out on the kids. Story 36. Keanu Reeves, but his wholesomeness isn't as widely recognized. He prefers action over words. Story 37. It has to be David Attenborough. He is not going to be with us much longer, but he is about all we have. Story 38. I wouldn't place myself alongside these individuals, but Mark Rober's efforts to teach the younger generation about engineering are impressive. Story 39. Side note, all three were ridiculed when they were alive. There is significant retrospective admiration for them. Story 40. We grew up with them at a time when their personal lives weren't under the public eye. Mr. Beast could have been close, but finding out something negative about Mr. Rogers, Bob, or Steve wouldn't shock me. We tend to idolize them, but the reality is they were human beings, just as prone to rage, shame, fear, and all the other emotions that can lead people to make poor choices. I honestly wish something would come out to remind us about grace and compassion and how more people deserve it than we sometimes think. Story 41. In my opinion, Brandon Sanderson is extremely open about his process, similar to Bob Ross, and is a very wholesome individual. His writings usually carry a positive message. Story 42. He may not appear on the screen as frequently as he assembles the media, but I believe Sam Reich deserves to be part of the conversation. Story 43. Pecos Hank seems like the Steve Irwin of tornadoes to me. Story 44. Conan O'Brien is someone I haven't heard anything negative about. While he may not educate as much as others, he certainly brightens every room he enters. Story 45. Marshall on Wristwatch Revival is a modern-day Bob Ross of watch repair. Not as tranquil, but just as fun and goofy. Story 46. They are smaller in number now, focusing on content creators and streamers. For instance, I am currently doing a lot of modding in Skyrim. When you engage in modding Bethesda games, you often need assistance in the form of video tutorials. There is an individual named GamerPoets who has a fantastic collection of videos in this area, and he presents the information in a soothing and encouraging manner. He truly brings that positive energy. These creators are all around. It is up to us to discover them. Story 47. The Special Books for Special Kids individual focuses on connecting with people who have different conditions or disabilities, showing them that someone cares about them. Story 48. Miranda Cosgrove has been creating some 4 to 5 minute long educational videos. They are both humorous and informative. Story 49. For Steve Irwin, it's clearly Steve Backshell. He is essentially the British Steve Irwin, as he interacts with many dangerous animals and presents them to the camera. He even got close to a stingray in one television documentary. Story 50. This might seem like a strange choice, but world's greatest author Chuck Tingle. He promotes radical acceptance, compassion, and the belief that love is real. Story 51. Christopher Ulmer conducts interviews with children who have special needs. He seems like a great person who doesn't receive enough recognition. Story 52. Luke from Outdoor Boys is doing great. Even when things go wrong, he maintains a positive attitude. It's one of the more wholesome YouTube channels I have watched. Alaskan Wilderness, Snow, Honey Butter, and Fresh Bread. Story 53. Modern-day Steve Irwin is the Urban Rescue Ranch founder. He is a funny young man who turned his house into an animal rescue, and he bought another fixer-upper, renovated it, and moved in to expand his rescue efforts. He frequently uploads videos on YouTube where he discusses various rehabilitation processes. He talks about how, even though some animals try to bite him, he cannot get angry because they are just animals and do not understand his intentions. His relationship with a Rhea named Kevin is especially amusing. It is wonderful to watch him interact with these animals. Story 54. Michael Treat is the librarian who is passionate about books and wholesome content. He has a following on Instagram and TikTok, I believe. Story 55. I think Sam Sulek is incredibly wholesome, but his use of performance-enhancing substances is unhealthy and may be what he is remembered for. Story 56. In my opinion, you cannot group Mr. Rogers with the other two. I appreciate Bob Ross, but Mr. Rogers taught a generation how to be kind and caring and how to not be afraid of people who are different. His role was much larger. Story 57. City Planner Plays resembles a modern version of Bob Ross. It weaves a story within a city and a game. Story 58. The Outdoor Boys YouTube channel's dad is pretty laid back, resembling a mix of Steve Irwin and Bill Nye. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.